Here in the Snohomish Basin in northwest Washington, this area of Puget Sound, we've got the mountains and the Cascades where the snow is falling and where these rivers start. And we've got this amazing rugged landscape, and then moving down into the floodplains where the rivers get bigger and more dynamic and can move across and change over time, all the way down to the estuaries, all the way out to the ocean. We got fish habitat here that's so important for those fish. We have a lot of agriculture within the floodplain that's very important to the agricultural community and the larger region. And there's all kinds of people who live and work in this basin as well. At the core, the main values that people have are the same. But when you get down to the specifics, sometimes those goals don't quite align with each other. Basically, the deal is everyone wants the same piece of land to do a slightly different thing. Community Floodplain Solutions is one of the first kind of main efforts that we had to really bring all these players together and make some actionable, positive changes here in the floodplain that will benefit everyone.
Community Floodplain Solutions, I would say, is a microcosm, a small version of the State Floodplains by Design program. So the program is really about willing landowner collaborative approaches to reduce flood risk, to restore habitat, and to maintain or enhance farm viability, the 3 Fs. So what is going on with floods? What's going on with fish? What's going on with agriculture and farms?
20 years ago, 25 years ago, farmers were seeing the loss of farmland and were suing the county to try to solve the loss of farmland problem. The tribe was seeing degraded water quality and suing farmers and suing the government for the water quality problems. And neither of those lawsuit pathways worked for either of those folks. In a lot of the work that we do, whether it's environment or ag, the easy problems have been solved. We really have these complex problems where if you solve for any one of those and you don't think about the others are going to probably lose. And so what we call that is a wicked problem.
These are community members that have a vested interest in seeing either the thing they care about or something their neighbor cares about or something that their kids may care about in the future. They want to see that preserved or somehow helped.
Been here since 1938, and we farm ground and milk cows. The original barn that's still standing here, we think was built sometime in the early 19-teens. It's the heart of the farm, really. As long as we take care of it, it'll take care of us. Farmers are always trying to do the best for their land and their animals. My father, he was always working with conservation groups. Conservation is needed to be able to continue to farm decade after decade, generation after generation. We kind of kept that going with projects that he and I worked on together, and Anna and I work on with the county. We just evened it out, made it farmable. And now they really want to reopen it for fish habitat. Being this close to the river, it's not a natural deposit area. 6-7 feet of sand after a flood. I mean, as a kid, watching Dad and his friend clean up this field and a bulldozer with just mounds of sand everywhere. It's just, what do you do?
Farmers aren't always recognized for being forward thinkers, but really every farmer is kind of the ultimate optimist and forward thinker. You're always working for tomorrow.
5-10 years ago, where you see that log over there and all these logs, that was all riverbank. And here we are. Someday this will probably all be washed away too, but this is going to be a huge point. The water's gonna feed into here, into Shingle Bolt. Just hope it's not too aggressive. There are so many different entities in on this project that have their agendas, and I hope in the end it works in the end. I mean, I hope that we can still farm a piece of this ground, knowing that, you know, once they reopen the slough, that this side of the property will go back to riparian, and I hope that it stays there.
We've been farming for about 5 years. We bought our property around 6 years ago. My mom grew up on a farm. She had 11 siblings that all were into farming, and my grandpa was a wheat farmer in Eastern Washington. Never imagined that we would own property where we have all of this stormwater runoff. We have a lot of sediment that we have to take care of. One of the things that was the first challenge we faced on our property was when we bought the place, our creek, Weiser Creek, was dredged because we have the city side, Lake Stevens, and the whole watershed up above us. All of that water filters down into our creek, or much of the water. And so the Dike District dredged our stream area, and we had a pile in front of our house right here that was so tall that out of our second story, we could not see the farmland. That was the beginning of just learning about our watershed here and what farmers are facing and what their burden is and all of that. When I became a farmer, I learned so many things that I didn't know before, and it completely changed my perspective. Only 1% to 2% of our population lives or works on a farm, and every generation is more removed from farming. The urban population sees farmland as a resource that farmers should take care of, but they don't see their role in it. The first time we did a farm tour, when we brought some folks out to see some cows, it was like Disneyland to them. I mean, they were over the moon about how amazing the farm experience was. It's that connection that we create that allows people to feel like they get to know us personally, and they're engaging with the animals, and then they really release some of those preconceived notions, and they're open to curiosity, and they start to learn, and it actually changes their perspective, and it's very powerful. I think that the more that we all work together, the more leverage we have for just impact.
Welcome to Qualco. The name, it's kind of derived from a tribal word meaning two rivers coming together. I grew up on the Tulalip Reservation. I'm a Tulalip tribal member. Yes, I am an elder. I am that old. Our Qualco Energy project is a dairy digester project that we partner with the Workoven Dairy to operate. We bring in the cow manure from their cows, plus bring in food waste from Snohomish and King counties. We process that waste, which generates methane gas. We're capturing it, and we're using it to run a generator to generate power. The rest of the gas is just being flared to break it down into less damaging gases for the atmosphere. The time we decided to do this project was a time when tribes and the agricultural community really weren't getting along very well. They started talking about how we could improve our relationships with each other. They thought that if we did a joint project together, it would help build the relationships. It's just been getting better ever since. Before we started this operation, the dairy was just spreading their raw cow manure on the farm fields. And it takes about a year to year and a half for the nutrients in the cow manure to mineralize into a form that the crops can actually use. And during that year and a half time frame, we get a number of floods that wash a lot of those nutrients into our rivers. So we wanted to get the nutrients out of the river, and for the farmers, it allows them to manage their nutrients better because they're not losing as many to the river, which means they can reduce the amount of fertilizer they have to buy to apply to their fields. Manure is only in the digester for about 3 weeks. When it comes out of the digester, the nutrients are already in the form that the crops can use immediately. It benefits the environment and it benefits the farm. In the 47, almost 48 years of working in this field, the tribal policies haven't really changed that much. What has changed is our working relationship with the people around us. And because of those relationships, it's allowing us to talk to each other more because we do have a community that does have a willingness to work with us. If you want landowners to voluntarily do things, they have to feel like they have a say in what's being done. Oftentimes, it's the landowners that really understand the needs better than county government or even tribal government.
Trust is a continuum. You have to not only earn it, but you have to maintain it. And so a big part of what we do as a program is we have follow through. We don't say we're going to do something unless we know there's a path, be it permits, funding, or whatever it is to doing that thing. Whether it's they're getting relocated because they live in a high hazard flood area, whether it's a new restoration project that's restoring habitat that's been degraded for a long time, there's usually something for everyone.
Come on, Jen. Let's see. I think let's walk this way down the front. Come on, dance. In the 90s, we had a really big flood here. They called them the dike wars back then. It was kind of chaos of every year everyone was raising their dikes and levees a little bit higher and just pushing more dirt around to try to push water somewhere else to keep it off of people's lands and away from their buildings. A neighbor had let too many livestock on the dike way too late in the season, and so the dike eroded and then it broke. And a dike breach is really catastrophic because now water comes really fast. In a normal flooding event, the water raises slowly, and as it overtops the dike, it's in a very controlled fashion where it's all, leveling over across many miles of dike. But once you punch a hole in the dike, all that water is funneled really fast, and there's no time. And so that 90s flood was really catastrophic. A lot of dairy cattle died right in the barns, hundreds of animals, because people just couldn't get out fast enough. This way. Come on, Dee. All right, look back. Let's see if you can find the rams. These rain inundation events where we have huge rain, 12 inches of rain in just 48 hours or something. The whole ditch infrastructure here wasn't designed to move that much water that fast. So the ditches get overwhelmed and then they back up. So then it's more minor flooding of just, maybe 6 or 12 inches of water, but you can't have livestock in 12 inches of water, so you got to move the livestock out. The big floods, there's gauges and a lot of warning, and you got plenty of time to plan to move the animals. But these kind of minor floods, I'll just wake up in the morning and realize there's water out there and I got to move the animals. And so it's a lot harder to plan around because there's no prediction for it. It's basically made my fields in the valley unusable in the winter. And so that's something new. Like the last 100, 150 years of farming, that hasn't been an issue. So this is definitely new, something that I don't remember in my lifetime. The dairy farmer I bought from didn't remember it in his 80-year lifetime of these incredible events. And so it's really changing the way we have to use the farm. Obviously, if all we were worried about was the ecology, we would take all the dikes back down because that's best for fish, is to just let the rivers flood where they want to flood and fish lay eggs where they want to lay. But if we do all that, we would remove a huge food source in the region and create a food desert where we would only be importing food from elsewhere. So trying to find that balance of how can we still stay farming but improve the ecology for fish. We're losing farmland every day, so we've got to do more with less. Especially in the Seattle area, that land is worth so much and property taxes are so high that a lot of times it just doesn't make sense to farm it anymore. You can't even make enough money to pay the property taxes, let alone be profitable. And once you convert land, clear it, pave it over, put houses on it, or put retail on it, you kind of can't convert it back to farmland sometime in the future. So it's an irreversible change.
Okay, you tell me if this starts getting really shallow.
This is what we call a level logger. Primarily, we use it to measure water depth
on our site. So we need to be able to understand how the tide and the river flow pushes water in and out of the site, and we incorporate that data into our modeling. When we build walls around rivers or we make them straightened, we take out the complexity, they tend to be faster and deeper. Floods are more catastrophic, whereas if we give the river room to move, at those high flood events, the water can just kind of flow over the landscape and not cause catastrophic floods that we're seeing, in places around the country. So something happened. I don't know what happened in the end of January. All of our data just bumps up. And we got weird pressure spikes.
Salmon are really the canary in the coal mine, right? They're the species that tells us, hey, you are messing with this ecosystem. You are messing with hydrology, you're messing with how rivers function, and you're messing with water quality and water temperature. It becomes obvious when a species like that has thrived for thousands of years suddenly is in crisis. When that happens, something has to be done.
Farmers found really fertile land near rivers. And unfortunately, that's also the land that salmon need to survive. The estuary is one of our focal areas for Chinook salmon recovery because it is where the young salmon grow bigger and stronger before they go out into Puget Sound. And so if we didn't have this habitat, they would be forced out into Puget Sound before they're big enough and ready to survive that environment. We don't have time to wait. The salmon need our help now. And so we can't wait 50 years, we can't wait 100 years. So we have to go in and we have to make this place healthier for them.
We don't want salmon to go away. We all value it as a cultural heritage piece of the Pacific Northwest. And many of us love to fish and love to eat salmon and want to preserve that. So are there ways we can do that without losing farmland or creating an unprofitable or less profitable situation for farmers than we're already facing?
The salmon is really the center of our culture. We call ourselves a salmon people for a reason. It's really the heart of what we do. We could live without beef or without pork, but we can't live without salmon. One of the things I've had to live with was the idea that salmon species could actually go extinct during my lifetime. The salmon populations have been continuing to decline. They somewhat stabilized a little bit these last couple of years. It takes more than 2 years to figure out if that's going to be a long-term trend. But we're hoping that with it stabilizing, that we're starting to make that turn to where we can start improving on some of these salmon runs.
The thing we have in common with almost everyone in the community around us is really just our love for this place. No one wants to see all of this land be covered by pavement or condos.
I hope the message gets out that this really is a broad effort. We are trying to include as many voices as we can.
You have to collaborate in order to move ahead to the future.
Part of the reason why I think farmers oftentimes get framed as the villain of the story is because they're not sharing their story. Farmers forget that they have that ability, to influence people in that way.
I think it's really important for farmers to get a seat at the table and stay engaged in the conversation so that we can make sure people understand the challenges we face. And I found a tremendous openness between the tribes and the county and federal agencies of understanding our problems and trying to find that middle solution that can balance all of those things.
Restoration, especially in the floodplain, it's complex. There's always different things going on. Every site is different. But being able to put them all together in one large package is kind of the goal of the CFS program. I think there's a misconception that we do restoration work only for the fish, only for the trees, only for the wildlife. But that's not really true. In the end, the goal is to benefit people, whether that's the tribe, whether that's the people of Snohomish County or Washington State or the nation or North America. The intent here is to provide these habitats that benefit people.
I've got hope that we can turn things around for the environment, for our fish and wildlife species over time. I may not be able to see the whole rebuild in my lifetime, but hopefully my grandchildren will.
People come and live here because this is a place where we have habitat, where we have wildlife, where we have places to recreate and things that are beautiful. And so I think it's not just about preserving those Fs as much as it's about preserving our culture in Snohomish County.
If we do nothing, if we sit back on our laurels and just let things happen, none of us will win. So that's not really an option. We have to work together, because if we don't, we all lose.